Watch out, road. You're about to get stomped on. With the next generation of ultra-high performance tire. For the modern muscle car, it's a new level of traction, stability, and wet braking capabilities. Step up to the all-new Nitto 555 G2. Check it out at nittotire.com. It's what's next.
Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Fort Bragg's backyard, this is the show that put the 110 Nation on the map. There is only one nation, the 110 Nation, and you're listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show, covering each and every sport across the board. There is no sport too large or too little. It's time to talk the talk. Here we go. Here's the man, the founder, and your host, Mr. CJ Sports.
I want to welcome everybody to the 110 Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. DJ Sports. You can follow me at DJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Glad to be here on this hump day. Tell you what, just rushing to get everything. Try to get everything accomplished here as we're rapidly closing in on the end of the year. Had all the intentions to be on tomorrow night, but looks like plans might have just changed. Who knows yet? But glad to be here on this Wednesday night. Glad to have an opportunity to sit here, talk a little sports tonight, and then break away into a little bit more of our best of 2015 series. For those that missed any shows over the last almost 2 weeks, we decided we would spend the last 2 weeks kind of bringing you some of the better moments that we have had here at the 110 Nation for 2015. In other words, bringing you some of the great interviews and great guests that we had over the year. And in case you guys missed it, forgot about it, or anything else, we figured it would be really good and really cool if we wrapped up 2015 with a few, wrap up 2015 with some interviews that we had earlier in the year, so you know what to kind of expect for 2016. We're going to be playing back Eric Saunders' interview. If you don't know anything about Eric Saunders, he's Carolina from waist down, has raced for Tony Stewart in some of his race cars. A very inspirational interview, really cool interview. Was glad we had the opportunity to do that. We brought Amber Balkin back on the show. We're going to play the second interview. I think the first one might have been in 2014. I can't remember. Canadian driver, beautiful woman, and very talented driver. And we had the opportunity to sit down and talk to her. Then we're going to finish it up with Lauren Rainier. Spotter was the spotter for Jamie McMurray. He went ahead and retired this year. Also had spotted for Christopher Bell at the at Eldorado, So a very talented spotter. Has been around the sport for many years. Actually owned the car, the 28 Hardy's car that Kel Yarbrough used to drive. His family did. Been around the sport for a very long time. It was very cool to have him. Not only on the show, but just be able to talk to him. And we've had him on the 110 Nation a couple times. We've also had him over on Racing with Big Sweat as well. So really cool to be able to relive having him on the show, as he's been a real big part of 2015 and part of the 110 Nation. So very excited about that. Don't forget you can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. You can check out my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports. You can check out the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. You can check out our website, www.110nation.com. You can check out our blog site, www.110nationsports.com. I was originally going to start off talking and then go into these because of the way I got everything set up, it is causing my computer to lock up on me and not letting me jump around to any screens or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and knock out the best of 2015 interview replays from earlier this year. Then I will come back on and I will finish the show up talking on a few topics that I feel is important to talk about tonight. So bear with me here a second while I try to pull this up. Like I said, the first interview that we're going to have playing is going to be the Eric Saunders interview. Very talented driver, especially with his circumstance and the fact that he's paralyzed. Like I said, a very inspirational story. We was glad and fortunate to have him come on the show, and looking forward to be able to not only keep up with him, but hopefully have him back on the show soon. As I know that he was in my time feed, I think he might be running out at the Chili Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. So very, 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 very excited about that. Yes, this is exactly why I am trying to do the interviews first, because this is unbearable right now. To how slow this is and how much it's just, I had to have all the interviews pulled up at a certain time. That way there was a smooth transaction and there was no having to skim through it or anything while we're on the air. So I went ahead and pulled up all the interviews, got them paused where they need to be so they're ready to go. There we go. Finally got that one pulled up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and jump into this first interview. Like I said, Eric Saunders, part of our best of 2015. And after this interview, I'll come back on for a second, and then we'll jump into the next one. Like I said, I will finish up tonight talking some live stuff that is I feel to be important, but I want to get these knocked out so I can free up the computer and actually can use my computer while we're doing this. So sit back, enjoy. Part of our best of 2015. I hope you guys enjoyed it the first time, or if you missed it the first time, as much as I did, be able to catch it this time. But without any further delay, let's play back this interview that we had with Eric Saunders. I believe there won't be much of a delay getting this thing to start. And a little bit about him, you'll understand how talented this driver really is. Without any further delay, though, let's go ahead and get Eric on the show. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
I'm doing great, man. Just down here in Andretti's in Atlanta. They just opened up a new go-karting place. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, that sounds fun. It's been a long time since I've been go-karting. I really need to get out there and do some go-karting. We were in Gatlinburg about a week ago, and, of course, on Pigeon Forge side, there's a bunch of go-kart tracks. But, of course, we picked a weekend that it rained all weekend long, so we really couldn't get out there anyway. But I love some go-karting. Have you done go-karting professionally at all?
I have. I mean, I've just messed around with it. I mean, not really too much of it, but just dabble with it.
Gotcha. Before I jump into this, like I do with every guest, I want to give you an opportunity to plug yourself. In other words, your social media, team websites, sponsors, anything you want to throw out there real quick. That way the fans and the listeners get an opportunity to know you on more of a personal level and keep up with your season and career.
I have Twitter at EGS349, Facebook at Eric Saunders Racing, and that's about it with social media stuff, but I have so many people behind me. I have Sweet Manufacturing, Tony Stewart Racing, Spike Chassis, Boucher Racing Tires. There's just so many people, that's been behind my whole program. I mean, there's just, I can't even name them all right off the bat, but there's a ton of people that's been behind my racing.
Now, at what age did you get into racing, and what did you actually get into first?
I got into motocross. You know, I raced professional motocross for a while. It was like 2 years, but I mean, when I was 5 years old, I got into pro motocross, and Tony got behind it right away, and it just kind of blew up. And in 2010, I had my accident that left me paralyzed from my chest down, and then I got into race cars, and that kind of, you know, I did it for fun, and I didn't realize what I could do, and you know, ever since then, it just really blew up.
What makes you pick motocross to start off with?
My dad, he raced professional motocross when he was growing up, and you know, it just kind of was in the family. So I didn't really know anything else but racing dirt bikes.
Now you had this, you know, wreck and had the injury and became paralyzed. How did it all come about that there was even a possibility that you would be running in sprint cars?
You know, I just know how technology is, and I just knew there was something else out there. I was really headstrong and really determined what I could do and where I could take this, and I knew there was bigger and better things out there, you know. And I think there's a lot of people that would love to do what I'm doing, and I really think a lot of people need to get a hold of me if they want to do what I'm doing, and I think I can make a lot of their dreams come true, honestly. There's a big market that I want to get into with coming out with the right hand controls for these people, you know.
How difficult, you know, you get to watch in-car camera views a lot of times of different kind of racing, and you see all the footwork and how much work goes into it with, you know, using your feet and your hands. So with you not having that and having to use strictly hands and everything you do, how difficult is it out there in a sprint car for you?
It's not that much different. I mean, I came from all motocross stuff with the throttle and the gas and the clutch and the brake and all that, you know, right there with my hands. So I'm really used to that. I've adapted very well. And, yeah, I don't know. I've just really adapted very well with it. And, you know, in general, I think people have better eye-hand coordination than eye-foot coordination, you know. You can pick up a needle with your hands. You can't pick a needle up with your feet. So there's just a lot that I've learned through people and talking to a lot of people, that there's so much stuff out there that I'm finally starting to learn about this.
How often are people surprised, either once you get out of the car and they realize, you know, your condition, or don't realize you're driving until you get suited up and get into the car? Do you get that commonly, that, you know, people are just kind of surprised that you're a race car driver with your condition?
Oh, there's a ton of people. I mean, there was a track that I raced at weekly, and they didn't even know that I was paralyzed at all. I mean, wow. It was just crazy. They were like, oh, yeah, well, Eric's paralyzed, and, you know, they were like, oh, he's cocky, and, you know, why is he not getting out of his car? And there's like, oh, well, he's paralyzed. You know, people just don't realize it, you know, because, you know, it's something that people have not seen before.
Wow. They're weekly and had no idea. I know because of the unfortunate incident that happened with Kevin Ward, Tony Stewart gets kind of run through the mud a lot, especially in the Sprint Cup series, you know, the Sprint Cup talk world. You know, a lot of people don't get to know the real Tony Stewart. And myself and Steve Billmeyer, and I don't know if you know who Steve Billmeyer is. As a matter of fact, you're part of their group, and that's called Other Racing. You know, we had this discussion with his retirement coming up, that we would hope that people would get to know the real Tony Stewart, and he would be remembered for the things maybe he does off the track. If he does a lot of things off the track, how much is there to Tony Stewart that a lot of people don't know that you actually get to know?
There's a ton. You know, Tony gives back more than anybody that I know, and, you know, he's going to help out short track racing after his retirement more than anything, you know. People don't realize it, but it's going to help short track racing in general. I mean, it stinks that he's retired, but it's crazy. And it's just, you know, Tony, there's so much stuff that people don't know about him at all. It's just him giving back and him helping somebody that that is in a less fortunate situation than, you know, and there's so much that he does for people.
If you would have never had this accident, do you think you ever would have gone to four wheels, or do you think you would have stayed in the motocross?
I think it would have took time for me to more or less, I don't know, because I raced, or I didn't really race. I got into a race car, and I just tried it, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, but it's just, I don't know. I wasn't mature enough to really realize how much potential I had in a race car, you know. My dad actually, people don't know this about my dad, but my father has worked at Hoosier Racing Tire for 33 years or 32 years now, and he's very well known in the racing industry, but, you know, my dad was like, man, Eric is really good, and I was only 13 years old, and, you know, he just knew that I had a lot of potential in the race car, but I just didn't want anything to do with it, you know. So, I don't know. I would have dabbled in it, you know, even more once I would have grew up and matured, but I was so focused on where I was going with motocross, I don't know if I would have. So it's hard to say.
How difficult was it for you to learn how to drive a sprint car? I mean, those are not the easiest, even just for, you know, nobody that, you know, doesn't have any kind of, you know, and I hate to say condition, but, you know, not being paralyzed, it's still hard to adapt to and learn how to drive. You know, going in this corner sideways and the little window that you got and everything else. I already know it's a difficult car to drive and learn with the weight and everything, but how difficult was it for you to, you know, go from motocross to drive a sprint car as it was?
It was all new learning, you know, experience for me. It was insane, you know. People don't realize how much, you know, horsepower that one of those things have. I mean, those things you can't compare it to anything that's out there, you know. But it was all new for me to learn how to drive.
Is there any thoughts of trying to race other cars, take the technology that you guys have to make it where you can run the sprint cars and possibly take that into other types of cars or different levels?
Oh, there always is, you know. It's just, there's about, with marketing and getting the right people and partners behind me to take me financially up to that level. I mean, that's the thing with a lot of racing in general. I mean, financially, people can't do it. I mean, racing in general is expensive, and people, they would love to do that, but it's just so hard financially to get to that next level.
Do you think the sport is ready for that? And you know, I hate saying it like that because it sounds like, you know, I don't know how it sounds, but I just know that, you know, the females in the racing, it took a while for the sport to be ready for it. Having, you know, different nationalities in the sport, it took a while. You know, so anything outside of the traditional white driver, redneck kind of stereotype, and I hate to say because I'm a NASCAR fan since the early 80s, right? That's my number one sport. But, you know, it's taken the sport a while to kind of warm up to different things when it comes to racing in the sport, period. Do you think that this sport is ready for one more change like this?
Oh, I think any sport is ready for a change. I mean, there's always not only improvements, but there's different things that different sports need to see. I mean, it's just all about, you know, branching out and making it. Not only that, it'll make the sport, you know, that much more known because, hey, whoa, there's somebody that's in a wheelchair doing this. You know, there's just so much stuff that people are missing out on and seeing in day-to-day life. I mean, because a lot of people, they think that, you know, oh, well, if you're in a wheelchair, you can't do this, you can't do that, and they always kind of put me down. And it's like, people don't know me, you know, at all. I mean, they don't know what I do. I'm not the type of person that talks what I do, but I love being able to, if I ever do go out, I love to tell people my story and what I'm doing and how I can inspire people and how I can, you know, just, there's so much stuff that I can do in my life and make somebody in my situation more motivated and more, you know, determined to do what they want to do in their life. So it's awesome.
Now, when this injury happened, was it right out the gate, you knew that, okay, I can't do this, but, you know, there's a possibility of this, or did it take you, you know, a little while to kind of work yourself up to there's other options out there. I could possibly do this or possibly do that?
There wasn't really much, but my buddy, I don't really want to say buddy, but somebody that I knew, his name's Ricky James. He was out racing race cars and kind of doing trophy truck stuff, and he was just kind of amazed by everything that there wasn't being done. And there was Evan Evans. He did a lot of off-road trophy truck stuff, but there's somebody that was doing it, and then Ricky James went ahead and did it, and then Ricky James kind of inspired me to do it, and I was just amazed by what he's done, and I was like, man, look what I can still do, and there's so much that I'm missing out on, and there's just a ton that I could still do. So he was kind of what inspired me to keep on going, and I really didn't know anything what I was going to do with my life. I didn't know, all I knew was racing, but I didn't know what I was going to do with my life.
Gotcha. How's your racing season been so far this year?
It's been great. I got 6 feature wins this year. There's been so much, but hold on. Oh, my phone is kind of dying right now. He's gonna beep, and then my face keeps hitting. But it's been really good. Like I said, I got 6 feature wins, and just moving forward, going racing in so many different places that I can race, and kind of just get different experience and different feel for different tracks.
Now, do you still have more races this season, or is your season about wrapped up?
My season's not wrapped up, but I know that we're gonna go and test my Chili Bowl car that I'm racing, the Chili Bowl, and we're gonna go test that and get some seat time. So
have you been to the Chili Bowl before?
I have not, actually.
Well, that sounds like a very good opportunity. Do you guys have plans for the 2016 season yet? Do you know what you're going to be doing?
I'm not too sure. I do actually know that we're going to be running the World of Outlaws is starting this new crate series, the 602 crate motors, and I know that that's what we're going to be running, just to get some seat time and experience, and just, kind of branch out and do as much stuff that we can do with that, and then after that, I don't know, we just want to go and run. I want to run as much stuff as I can, and just get as much seat time as I can and get, just, see where I can take my racing, that's what I really want to do.
Oh, I don't blame you at all. How much traveling do you do with the series that you're running in now?
I'm just kind of stuck around Indiana. Not very much traveling. Just there's like 3 other tracks I travel to. There's Plymouth Speedway is one of my dad's buddies. He owns Plymouth Speedway in Indiana, and it's a great racetrack. There's a lot of improvements that he's going to be making to the track, and just to make it a better racetrack. And I travel to a couple different tracks, but next year I want to travel as much as I can and just get more experience at different tracks and different places, and kind of just help get my name out there.
Have you had the opportunity to run it outdoor yet?
I have not, but I would love to. That's one of my spots that I want to go and run. I want to run the 4-Crown. That would be definitely a dream of mine.
I think anybody, even just as a racing fan, would love to. I would love to, and I've never even been in a car. Just the history behind that track and what Tony Stewart and all of them have turned that track into be. It is like one truck race that nobody misses being a race fan at all now. Not to mention everything else that goes on there. How hectic is your week with everything that you had to do race-wise and then your personal life? Is it a pretty hectic week for you?
Oh, it's unreal. People have no idea. I do 2 days of therapy, just to keep my body strong, keep my just everything strong with, eating right and just training, keeping myself in shape, and people don't realize that, but, that's what I have to do to be, in my situation. I don't really mean it as in defeat, but, I don't really have a choice, but just stay in shape and treat my body, right, and, there's just so much stuff that I have to do and get in the car ready. we spend 3 days or whatever out in the race shop, and people don't. I mean, if you want to win races, I mean, it's won in the race shop. I mean, before you can just won at the race shop, get in the car right, you know. So,
oh yeah,
there's so much stuff out there.
Yes, I most definitely agree. I have a lot more respect for those drivers that are out there during the week working on their cars and at least participating in prep work versus, Steve mentioned many times he's known drivers that they'll show up 5 minutes before a race and they'll run the race and then get out of the car, and that's the extent of what knowledge they have of that car. And I just couldn't imagine if I was a race car driver not having some hands-on. I'd want to know what's going on with my car. If I'm going to be out there doing, the speeds that you guys would be doing with the horsepower, I would want to know. I'd want to be a little bit more personal with the car than just showing up, turning a few laps, and going home.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's just people have no idea what goes into, behind racing in general. I mean, there's just so much time that people have to spend on race cars. It's like, for me, I have Dave Bison. He ran a lot of CRA stuff, and he's my main crew chief, and that guy has taken me to different levels of racing. I mean, he's just so, and like I tell everybody, he's like the crew chief behind Donnie Schatz. They've been together forever, and it takes a long time for a crew to work like Donnie Schatz and his whole crew because they've been together forever, and people don't have that in general, and if you don't have that, I mean, you can't, it's hard to adapt to something like that, He's like everything behind me, he really is. I mean, it's more than just, me racing, it's him as well, there's just so many people behind my whole deal and my whole racing.
Was it hard to find sponsorship with your condition when you switched over into sprint cars?
It was, just because people they've never seen something like what I'm doing,
Yeah.
But I try to help as many people as I can out as a corporation and sell products and do whatever I can for their business,
Yeah.
There's so much stuff behind, with marketing me as my I don't know, like just as my brand and myself, and just being able to help them out as a corporation, and there's so much stuff that people, I believe in myself that I can sell myself, and there's just a lot that I believe that I can do. And what I really want to do is during the Chili Bowl Nationals is I want to branch out and start my own foundation and help give back to people that are going through my situation, because I know how hard it was to go through what I went through.
Well, that's really cool. You don't always get people that, one, appreciate the opportunity they got, but also give back. We have one driver, Dylan Marty, comes on, and it seems every time that I turn on Facebook, he is helping the Shriners Hospital do this or do that, and I think he just turned 18 years old, and seen him for 3 years now, just constantly doing stuff to give back. It's just really cool. You don't get that with everybody, especially with athletes. And then you got those athletes that, if they do it, it's more of a publicity thing for them and kind of a requirement in their contract, not something they genuinely want to do. And that's why I hold a lot of respect for Tony Stewart. Him, when he was with Joe Gibbs Racing, I did not care for Tony Stewart. Once he became his own team owner, and it was Stuart Haas, and it was a little bit more free with the mouth, that's when I started like Tony Stewart. I like him telling how it is, regardless of what the consequences are. But then getting to know stuff he does behind the scenes, he doesn't do it for the publicity, because a lot of people don't know what he really does and how many people's lives he really affects. That's when I really started to appreciate what Tony Stewart meant to the sport and what Tony Stewart does. Because, like I said, we see athletes all the time that take selfies and post on Facebook or on Twitter, I did this and I did that. But then you get those that genuinely do what they do because they want to do it, such as Tony Stewart, and you don't know about it because he doesn't make a big deal about it.
Yep, exactly. There's people have no idea. You're right, and I wish people did. I mean, I really do. If they only knew, it would be unreal. But
yeah,
it just stinks that Tony doesn't get the publicity that he does for doing what he does for not only the sport but people in general. I mean, he really there's so much that he does do, and I wish people even had the slightest clue that how much he does.
Now, there's always a couple questions. I'm getting ready to get you off here. There's always a couple questions I ask drivers just out of curiosity. First question, growing up in the States, since you're a little bit younger than I am, actually you're about half my age or so, you might have the same answer. I have two different answers, and you'll know why here in a second. But growing up, what was the driver you idolized, your all-time favorite driver? And then, of course, if it's different now, because they might not, like, growing up, I was a Bill Elliott fan, but I'm not a Bill Elliott fan no more. Not because I don't want to Bill Elliott, just because you don't race. But all-time favorite growing up, and then if it's changed, who's your favorite driver? And it don't have to be NASCAR. It could be any form of racing.
My favorite was always Rich Carmichael. I mean, as motorcycle, that was motocross, and it was Tony as well. But the reason why is because they were just so dominant, and I was just amazed by that, I'm gonna say Tony still because of what he's done and what he's had to go through, and he's inspired me in so many ways. There's just, like I said, though, people don't understand what that guy's done for the sport, what he's done for other people, and if they knew, it'd be unreal.
My other question is 349. Is there a significant reason behind that number?
There is. It was my pro number when I was racing motocross, and I just kind of thought, everybody knew me from 349, so I kind of just stuck with it, and I think that kind of just stuck behind me,
Cool. I'm always curious. With some people, they just randomly just get numbers, and some people, there's some kind of significant reason behind it. It's always cool to know the reason behind it. What was the reason why you had it when you was in motocross? That just happened to be the numbers you got then?
They just, they picked it all through AMA from your pro card, and that's kind of how I picked up, so I didn't really have a choice. But, other than that, I just really thought my number would stick behind me very well.
I completely understand. My name wasn't always Mr. CJ Sports. It just had to be a combination of names that we put together, and then people started calling me that, and it's stuck for almost 5 years at this point. But I had never in my wildest dreams thought that I would have a whole different name for the sports side of what I do. I tell the story every once in a while, but originally it was my ex's first name. Her name was Chrissy, and my real first name was Jason. And we was just going to do a sports thing, and that's where CJ Sports came about. And then people started calling me Mr. CJ Sports, so that's just kind of what stuck 4.5 years ago. So I completely understand. Some things just happen to fall in your lap, and you go with it. And obviously, that was another one of those situations. Eric, tremendous story. Definitely an inspiration for a lot. I hope that not only is your racing career as successful as you want it to be, but also everything that you want to do, especially trying to make this sport more accessible for people in the same circumstances. I definitely pull in behind you. Our door is definitely open. We'd love to have you come on more times, as frequently as you want to, especially if you guys get things rolling to help, get that, get whatever product or whatever happens in the future out there to help that and promote that as well. Definitely good luck on the rest of the season, the Chili Bowl, and your guys' 2016 plans. It was definitely a privilege and honor to have you on the show, especially everything you've overcome, and still to be a successful driver and an athlete. So I want to thank you for coming on.
All right, well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Make sure you keep in touch, and you enjoy the rest of your evening, and enjoy the go-karts, and hopefully we'll be talking. That was Eric Saunders, and you can tell by listening to that interview why that made our list the best of 2004. Incredible story and an incredible driver that is beating all odds and being paralyzed from the chest down, and is having still the career that he is having. Absolutely, positively amazing. And obviously, that's got to be, a story, an interview worth rehearing, and kind of, give us an opportunity to, a lot of people this week are going to analyze their year and analyze their life, and they're going to make some resolutions come tomorrow night going into 2016, and, some of them they're going to stick with, some of them they're not, and, that interview to me was just a great way, as gives those that listen to the show tonight here on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network, and those that will catch this show tomorrow on the I-95 Sports Network, 10 a.m. to noon, something to think about as you're getting ready to plan and think about your resolutions and get yourself focused for 2016. Now, there's this young, talented driver and his story, and a lot of people are out there going to be, well, I want to lose weight, or I want to make more money, or a lot of stuff that one, either you're not going to hold up to, or two, it's all possession stuff. Maybe I kind of was hoping that this story, because I wanted to do this tonight versus tomorrow night, or even Friday night when we do these shows, because I want you guys to have an opportunity to sit there and think about things that would matter, things that are inspiring. And I believe full-heartedly that this story was, this interview was an inspiring interview to let people know that, hey, I can overcome this. I can beat this. I can do this, or I can do that. Just because this happened or just because that happened doesn't mean that it can't happen. And so that that was kind of one of the reasons that I used this interview as part of the best of 2015, but also tonight. Just like the next one, Amber Balkan, young talented driver, looking for sponsorship, wanting to give it another go and have an opportunity to be in the racing scene. And we're getting ready to play her interview. Another inspiring story, another one that is chasing their dreams and is making a strong push to try to overcome the odds to be a female Canadian driver. You don't hear too many of those. And that's what also makes tonight a perfect night to play Amber Balkan's story. Her second interview, like I said, I think the first time she came on was back in 2014. Beautiful, beautiful woman. Truly a marketer's dream to be someone's spokesperson. I mean, you slap, and this is just me being a guy, but, you slap GoDaddy on her car, and she would be a perfect GoDaddy girl. Beautiful and talented, and just has that body. It's a GoDaddy girl. And, we're hoping and pulling, as we've had, like I said, on the show a few times. I've had a couple conversations with her on Twitter. Friends with her on Facebook. I love having this girl on the show. As a matter of fact, when she got done with this interview, her and Hannah Newhouse got together on a tweet, and I was involved in the tweet. And we've had Hannah Newhouse on the show many, many times. Great driver, Boise State sponsored 46 machine, works for K&M Pro Series, does a lot of on-track interviews and stuff. We love having her on the show. And Amber was talking about, sometimes I feel bad because I feel like I talk their heads off, and I'm like, no, both of y'all. I love having both of you on the show. You guys are a ball of energy, and you guys are getting ready to see why I say she's a ball of energy. She will talk, and she just has this energy. It comes off. It just makes you pumped while you're sitting here doing this interview and everything. But I want to jump into this real quick because this one's going to be about 30 minutes. All our interviews are going to be about 30 minutes. I've been blessed with that. I don't know what Miss Lee does or what string she pulls to get them all to stay on for about 30 minutes. If you're interested in coming on the show, we're going back hard at it beginning Monday. Was that January 3rd, January 4th, whatever that is. Interested in coming on the show. You don't have to be here. You don't have to be 30 minutes. You only got 5 minutes. You only got 10 minutes. You only got 15 minutes. We'll work around. You don't have to be on the show for 30 minutes. I have just been blessed. I think there's only been one interview that did not go 30 minutes, that they only had like 15 minutes or so. But all the rest of them, we've been blessed with having a lot of time with all the drivers on all the shows. Even with Racing with Big Sweat, we get them for 30 minutes. So, and as a matter of fact, even on the Midwest Horsepower Hour, Sunday night, she had him on for about 30 minutes. So, it was about 25. But anyway, it was still a good chunk of change. And so, I sat there and thought about that a couple of times. I was like, damn, as many times I've watched ESPN or Fox Sports 1 or whatever, Dan Patrick Show, ain't nobody hang out for more than 5 minutes or so. And I have been blessed with some of the greatest athletes and greatest interviews with them coming on and hanging out as long as they have. But like I said, if you're interested in coming on the show, all you got to do is hit me up, MrCJSports@gmail.com. If you're an athlete, part of some kind of athletic organization, some kind of team, it don't matter. Like I said, it can be 5 minutes, it can be 30 minutes. And if you got even more time and we got, plenty of topics, it could be a half show, whole show. I really don't care. We love having people come on. We love letting our listeners get to know all these great athletes or talented people, whatever you happen to be doing, and be able to, help you be exposed to maybe a fan base that you weren't exposed to. But without any further delay, let's get into this Amber Bulkin interview, part of our best of 2015. And as soon as I get done playing this, you'll know why. She made the list of best of 2015. But, sit back as I give you guys an opportunity to go get the bathroom break on, go get another beer, cold one, whatever you're drinking on, popcorn. I gave you all plenty of time in between these great best of 2015, so here we go. Amber Bulkin, looking forward to having an opportunity to talk to her. How are you doing tonight, Amber?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's awesome to finally be on the show.
It's been a long time. It's great. Now, before I jump into this, I see that I know what your last name was prior, and then I've seen your Facebook name, last name being the same. Have you been married, or is there been a change?
No. That was actually a little marketing strategy of my own.
Okay.
I'm currently maxed out on Facebook friends, just because obviously racing such a community, and in order to drive more people to my Amber Bulkin Racing fan page, I decided to kind of drop out my last name. So when people search me, it would go to my fan page instead of them kind of waiting for my request. So Amber Iris is just my middle name. Definitely not married, not planning on it anytime soon. I kind of want to get this racing career going first. But, so that's the story behind that for people who kind of wondered what that was about.
And I noticed that when you sent me the message a few weeks back, and I was like, okay, did she get married? And I felt bad when I tried to do the show description and let people know you could come on the show. So I'm like, okay, which name am I using here? I'm not quite sure, and I don't want to. So anyway, before we jump into
I'm thinking maybe I'll switch it back because I'm confusing too many people.
Well, in all fairness, I've been told this many times, it doesn't take lots of confusion. But before we jump into this, I want to give you an opportunity, like I do everybody else, to plug yourself. Facebook, social media, Twitter, whatever, fan page, team page, sponsor, wherever you want to throw out there real quick. That way the fans have an opportunity to get to know you better on a more personal level and follow your racing career throughout your racing career.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very active on social media. So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Periscope. I'm actually just getting into Periscope now. I'll be Periscoping a lot on my trip down to North Carolina this weekend, and that is at Amber Bulkin 10. So Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope is at Amber Bulkin 10, and my last name is spelled Balcaen.
Come into my neck of the woods. What's bringing you to North Carolina? And what part of North Carolina are you coming to?
I'm flying into Charlotte, but I'll be kind of all over North Carolina. I'm coming to North Carolina to race my very first asphalt late model race. I'm racing for CM Driver Development at Tri-County Speedway on Saturday.
Cool deal. I think that's a little far from where I'm at right now. I can't remember where Tri-County's at.
Yeah, it's in Grant.
Oh, it's in where now?
Granite Falls?
I'm not sure before that. I had to look that up. If it's within driving distance, I might have to make a trip out there to check you out on the track. I know from Charlotte I'm about an hour and a half-ish from Charlotte, which is not too bad of a drive. It kind of depends on where that track is in reference to Charlotte, or at least I stay in the Fort Bragg area, so I'm not quite sure. But I'll definitely Google to see how far that is. I usually get Saturday afternoon and evening off, so it might be worth my while to check that out.
Cool.
I got to see your video the other day that you posted. Well, I don't want to say the other day. It might have been a week this, but I don't remember exactly when you posted it. The one where you're on fire, and the song was playing in the background, and you made mention of that. What was going on with there? You got something going on that you're promoting, or just a photo shoot? What was that all about?
Oh, the little kind of 15-second video I posted on Instagram?
Yeah, the fight next to me. That was what it was.
You know, I had kind of an off-season, obviously not by choice, but I just could not find the sponsorship dollars to really do what I wanted to do this year. And I've done everything on my own as far as, paying for my racing, marketing for my racing, everything like that, obviously with the help of sponsors. But I've never had any parents to back me or anything like that. So it hit me hard this year when I couldn't get enough sponsors to get on the track. And that video is kind of just like, don't worry, like, I'm still here. I still got a lot of fight in me. I'm going to be on the track again soon. That's kind of what that was for. And as well as that, I'm actually working on a project right now. I don't want to give it too much of it away, but it's something to create more interest in myself from sponsors. Something that I would say makes me more captivating as a driver for a potential sponsor. Since I might not have all the resources other drivers have, as far as, being in the States or having a little bit of money behind me, I need to be creative with the way that I approach things and the way that I do things. So this new project I'm working on is something that I don't think anyone's really ever done before, to try to get sponsorship, and I'm really excited for it.
I just saw the video, and it looked like a really professional video. I didn't know if that was like a clip of some kind of promotional, commercial or commercial, whatever. So, it's kind of why I was curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
My one friend is a videographer, so he helped me out on this, and I actually was just at Starbucks before this call, and he was putting all the rest of the video onto my computer so that I can work on my project while I'm on the plane.
Gotcha. I know before you, it seemed like one other friend, you guys used to do a bunch of little silly different skits on videos, talking about racing and other things. You guys still do those?
I know that she does lots of videos and skits and stuff. That was kind of just a one-time thing for me. It was very out of the blue and spontaneous that we decided to do that. Now my videos are definitely going to be more on not so much the comedy side, but more of who is Amber as a person, and what does she bring to the table as far as a driver and a person. And so I don't know if you guys seen any of my sprint car footage. And I guess for those of you that are just tuning in and don't know me, I'm originally a track racer. So that's why this is pretty exciting for me to go to North Carolina and race my first asphalt race.
And I'm kind of going to shift into that. For those that didn't get to catch you the first time around, I'll kind of let them know a little bit about you. When you got into racing, let them know, because I assume a lot of them don't know where you're actually from. Kind of let them know where you're from and what you've raced, and kind of get them caught up a little bit on a little bit about it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my name is Anne Balkan. I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, which is way north. I think we got snow coming this week. I've raced dirt track since I was 10 years old, started in go-karts, moved up to lightning sprints, and then raced a 410 sprint last year, and really, really enjoyed that. It just, unfortunately, couldn't get the sponsorship dollars to do it again, and I'm the type of racer, I'll drive anything that has a motor. So I'm excited to always try new things and challenge myself.
From once you go to Charlotte, is there any plans after that, or we'll come to North Carolina? Is there any plans after that?
Yeah. When I go to North Carolina, I try to do as much networking as possible. In the racing, it is a business, so it's all about who you know. And obviously, not living there, I don't have the ability to have meetings with people in the industry and things like that. So I really try to take advantage of my time while I'm down there. So I'll probably try to do some networking while I'm there and try and get some sponsors. And obviously my main goal is to go race this race and win so that I can create some spark and some interest, and hopefully just that will lead to more sponsorship, which will lead to more races for me.
You're going to fly into North Carolina for the weekend, but after that you just fly straight back to Canada, or is there any more stops that you plan on making, or how's that work?
Yeah, I fly in on Thursday night, practice Friday, race Saturday, and then I fly back home on Wednesday. So hopefully I'll set up a couple meetings around Monday or Tuesday to, just see what I can do.
Yeah, and outside of this race and a couple meetings before you get, is there any other plans in the off season, any testing, any other meetings or possible rides that you got lined up that you at least want to go talk for interviews or anything?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I definitely have I have the perfect situation in my head, obviously, with what team I'd like to race for next year, what series and everything. But like I said, again, everything comes down to money. So as soon as I can get the sponsorship to do what I need to do, I'll be out there. But things have definitely been progressing within the last couple of months, a lot more than they have really all year. So I'm definitely feeling very positive about 2016, and my main goal right now is just to get as much late model asphalt experience as possible in these winter months, and hopefully we can do a full season of the Can-Am Series next year.
How restless does the driver get when they're not on the track? I would imagine that, we had a 6-month period of time due to just different issues that we weren't on the air, and it just did not feel right for me not to be sitting here 2 hours a night every night talking on the radio. It about drove me nuts, and I'm assuming it drove everybody nuts that was around me, because now I'm talking to everybody that will lend me an ear about sports. So I know what it's like for me. What's it like for a driver when you have the misfortune of sponsorship not lying, getting in line for you, and you're not out on the track, and you got to find other things to kind of occupy your time?
Honestly, I think the best word to describe it is heartbreaking. It truly is heartbreaking when you put everything into something, and that's all you want in life, and that's all you want to do is what you live, you breathe, and you aren't able to do it just because you don't have the financial means. It's absolutely heartbreaking. There's so many talented drivers, so many passionate drivers who aren't on the track just because of financial reasons. And, I went to business school, so I feel that I have the tools and the recipe to make it happen, but not all the time it happens. Sometimes it takes a little while. So basically that's what I've been doing. But honestly, this year was the hardest year of my life. I went from last year, I raced, I think, 35 shows in my 410 sprint car, and this year I ran a couple of races here and there, and it was honestly heartbreaking. And that's why I'm working harder now than ever to get sponsors. And I'm going to do whatever I can and work as hard as I can to make it happen, because I need to be in a race car next year. I'd be way too sad. I can't go another year like this. I got to be in a race car. So I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to make you guys proud.
10 years old, getting into a race car for your first time. What makes, and I know that things have changed the racing scene, and now it's more and more common to see females everywhere driving cars. And it is great, because now we get even more talent. Now we got the Danicas of the world, and now we got the Johanna Longs, and now we got the Andrew Balkans of the world, and just different talent set drivers out there. But at 10 years old, not they're more. One, I've never known a 10-year-old. I know there's a lot out there. There's a lot of 10-year-olds out there driving, but it is not something that is all that common, and especially back when you was 10 years old. What made you decide to get into racing?
Well, I grew up in racing. My dad races dirt track late models and has over 30 years, and my mom grew up in a racing family. Her dad raced sprint cars, and her brother raced sprint cars. So my parents met at the racetrack, and they had me. And I was at the racetrack since I was in my mom's belly. So I had just grown up with it, and nothing I was forced into. I actually had to beg my dad to let me race go-karts because he knows the time commitment and the money commitment, and so he didn't want me to get in this bad addiction thing called racing, but unfortunately he couldn't help it, and I got addicted anyways. So yeah, I just asked for go-kart, and finally he said, well, if you want to race, you got to find a sponsorship. So got $100 here and $100 there, and I scrambled up enough money to get a go-kart, and after that I moved up to Lightning Sprint, and then got a car owner for a 4-10 sprint car. So I would love to move up sooner, but again, it was all based on money. And every year of racing that went by, the more passionate I was about it, and the more I wanted to be more involved and get into it harder. And that's kind of what's led me to where I am now.
I tell you what, I don't know what racing god that I pissed off, but I was in my mother's stomach when she was at the racetrack, and the reason she was at the racetrack is my father was part of a pit team for a lady driver back in '77 for NASCAR, and then of course after that, like every Friday and Saturday night, we was at Sheffield, which is 2 local asphalt tracks in Ohio, one of them within the Columbus area of Ohio, and I never would ever imagine or even thought. I might say I didn't have the passion. I would love to be a race car driver. I would love 120 miles an hour kind of. I get 100 or 110, and I'm like, oh, I need to put it down a little bit. But I don't know what happened to me because I was around the scene, and I know that doesn't make a difference, but I kind of grew up with that, and it was nothing but NASCAR on the TV growing up, and I was never exposed to the opportunity that, even though my father, crewed and worked on the race team all through the week, and then we was out there Friday and Saturday night. But yeah, I wish. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder why things didn't work out that way. Because I was around it as well, but it just never. I guess it just went in my heart.
Racing is a huge commitment, and if it's going to be your life, you really got to be all in, and that it can be a hobby for sure, but even as a hobby, your time commitment's huge. And some people are fine watching, and hey, you got other talents like hosting great radio shows. So I was guilty bad about it.
I tell you what, Ed, I tell this story quite often to people out there. I fell on it. I had no idea what I was going to do when I did this, and I had no idea even how to do a podcast or even what a podcast was. So it's amazing 4.5 years later we're sitting here doing this and an actual company, and we just got approved last week where we're going to be down there for Homestead to be able to do media coverage for Homestead. And, I got guys that are approved to go out to the Carolina Hurricane games to do that. So it's crazy. And I was sitting here thinking, I'll tell somebody today, it's sad because once upon a time, and I'm still grateful, but, I was nervous applying to go to Bristol and applying to go to Kentucky. And, I've gotten approved and got to do all these races. And then, the whole NHL thing really kind of surprised me as well. I was approved for that. And last week I had one of the guys that co-hosts for All Night Show with Pete Millmeyer on Reaching with Big Sweat. He wants to do men's Tigers, the college team, do coverage out there. And so I applied for him for the football and basketball. Even though he really wanted to go basketball, but just to apply for both of them. And when the University of Memphis denied us media access, I was kind of upset. I'm like, how is NASCAR letting me go to all these tracks? And the NHL is allowing me to go to the Hurricane game, but you're not going to let me go to a college game. This is college. And but it was kind of discouraging because we've done all the work we possibly could do and get our name out there, and so college kind of shoots it down. So, but we're striving to be that great radio show, and we'll continue to strive, and we'll continue to hopefully bring on good talent as well. And I do that with a wink, wink. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you do great things out there on the track, and hopefully this weekend happens to work out really good for you and your career as well. Just a little bit, especially since you're coming to this area, and of course this is kind of the heart of NASCAR, and of course the heart of dirt track racing, and really all types of racing out here. Did you get an opportunity last weekend to catch Talladega?
What was I doing? I actually went to a Winnipeg Jets game. That's an NHL game. Hockey's pretty good here in Canada. So I saw the first couple laps, but most of it was during the game. But I obviously checked up on Twitter and everything afterwards to see what happened, and I saw the finish. And I know there's a lot of controversy around it.
Hockey. Ever since we brought on our NHL guy on Tuesday night at 10:30, we saw more and more about hockey. Growing up in Ohio, we didn't have the Columbus Blue Jackets back then, so hockey was not something that Ohio was really cared about. We didn't have a team, and Ohio was one of the probably the most passionate fan bases out there. You can ask anybody still a Cleveland Browns fan, you find right. Teammates been 500 and 15 years at this point. But it convinced me to make sure that I caught the new 3-on-3 overtime. And, oh, my God, now that I've seen this new 3-on-3 overtime format they did this year, it just definitely made me make sure that I'm catching more and more hockey as well this year. With you being a race car driver and ultimately wanting to, be part of the I was assuming the NASCAR scene, working your way up this weekend, and how this all played out from a driver's point of view. How does NASCAR untangle all this mess that was created with this 10-second attempt and the Kevin Harvick? If he was Brian France, how would you have handled all this?
Oh, I don't know. That's a really tough question. I think that the chase format in general is it's great for fans because it keeps them on their toes, keeps things interesting. Everything's super cut. People have to win. People have to. But for drivers, it's got to be the most stressful thing that there. I don't think you could make it more stressful for the driver. So as a driver, I don't think I would like it, but as a fan, it does make things more interesting. I mean, look at the controversy that it's brought. Tempers are flare like crazy because drivers know it's all or none at these races. So as far as a viewer, yeah, I'm sure it does great things for the ratings and everything like that. But as a driver, it just seems like a lot of stress.
I think the thing that makes it seem the most about Sunday's race is the fact that they ran the first 130 laps, 345 miles, without a caution, 200 miles an hour, 2 wide, 3 wide, sometimes 4 wide. You see them do green flag pit stops, and of course with that track and the traffic, obviously, it takes a lot of skills. You don't want to run over each other. You want to break out of the draft. You got to attain them down pit roads. You have somebody to drive with. Everything that goes with that the whole Talladega experience. You got the first 345 miles. Then you get down to the end of the race, and they can't manage to do 2 races. They can't make it to the start-finish line twice at the end of the race. That is so amazing to me, how these skilled drivers can do all 345 miles without a flaw. Then we can't even restart the race twice at the end of the race. That blows my mind.
It's because at that time it's panic mode. You have to make your moves. You have to do what you can do to get to the round or to win the race. And that's why Kevin Harvick did what he did. You can really look at it both ways. As a driver, you're going to do whatever you're going to do to get in that next round of the chase. But on the other side, I could completely understand why people were extremely unimpressed by what he did, because it was, I guess you could say kind of a cheap shot. I mean, he wrecked kind of the whole field when he could have kind of just moved out of the way. But as a driver, like I said before, you're going to do whatever it takes to win a championship. You can really argue both sides, in my opinion.
You are the defending champion. You are the defending champion. And you getting into the next round to defend your champion depends on whether or not, hey, I'm not going to take it for sure, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of the thing. I want to believe that it was strictly a racing incident. What I honestly believe, and I put it out there many times already, what I honestly believe he told the number 6 car to push him. What I honestly believe was supposed to happen was he was expecting, because this car was not going to go, to get a shot from Trevor Bayne hard enough that it made him look like he was hit hard enough from behind to cause him to wreck, get into the race. I think that's honestly what the plan was, without it being blurted out there, other than the fact that tells the number 6 car to push you. Obviously, if you got a car trying to go 100 miles an hour, and you got a car that could do 30, something's going to happen. But that is not how it worked out, and delusional enough to think that it wasn't things that happened intentionally. I just want to believe otherwise, and I'm not going to accuse him of anything. I'm not a stupid teacher. Okay?
No, that's a very, very good point. And that's the thing is, us viewers watching, we really don't truly know 100% what's going on. That's why it's hard to, sit on your couch and point fingers at people, because we don't know what's really truly going on. So that's why I try not to have too firm of an opinion on either matter, and just kind of try to see both sides of it.
Now, you are the defending champion. In order to win your championship, this race cannot go past that start finish line or not very far past it. You're about to blow up. Regardless if you did it intentionally or not, if you're in his shoes, but you had done something similar to secure your opportunity to defend your championship.
I mean, being in the seat, probably, and I'm sure most drivers probably would have done the same, but looking at the outsider, you want to say, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. But when you're in that seat, in that position, and it's kind of ride or die, you're probably going to do what you need to defend your championship.
I'm not trying to put you in the hot seat about that. I'm just curious, as a driver, I would do the same thing. I do not blame you. Even if it was set off air, hey, I'm about to race the number 6, I would not blame you. It's the nature of sport, and you don't want that to happen. Of course, you don't want restarts to happen that way. It was essentially wrecking each other to restart. But I went play. Your sponsorship's on the line, championship's on the line. There's a lot of things on the line. Just like the whole thing. I don't fault for Walter Brady. Ultimately, it ended up killing them. They lost sponsors, lost drivers, and now they're closing the shop. But I didn't blame them. In every sport, there's always teams, and almost every team, I'll say 99% of the teams out there, push the envelope. And it's all, that's where that takes up. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I mean, it's ultimately, that's it. And, I know people point fingers at Jimmy Johnson checking out all the time. Like, they're the only one that ever has to get their cars reinspected. I guarantee on a weekly basis, out of 43 cars, there's probably 5 cars that have to go through reinspection because something ain't right. But you don't hear about it unless it's Jimmy Johnson. Now, the Jimmy Johnson only got the world was coming to an end, and NASCAR is spinning over backwards, and conspiracy theories and everything else. I mean, and it drives me crazy. It drives me nuts because 9 out of 10 times they're actually just one time that they've been suspended. Chad Towns was suspended. I think they heard on it to win a race anyway. They never failed post-race inspection. They just try to push that envelope before or miss something before, the qualifying of the race, and it gets fixed before the race even happens. But NASCAR fans would swear to goodness that Jimmy Johnson is the only driver out there cheating and catching out those 2 people out there cheating. I'm a firm believer everybody does. Just don't get caught, some get caught. But if you ain't trying to push that envelope, you're not competitive, you're not going to win races. I'm not saying everybody needs to cheat, but you got to push that. You got to get into that gray area at least once or twice in order to have a chance of yourself in a position to win.
Yeah, that's a definite possibility too. I personally think Chad Knapp and Jimmy Johnson, they just have a great relationship. Like, they just got chemistry, in my opinion.
Okay. And also, you don't get to see everything in a lifetime. When the New England Patriots back in 2011 were 1-4, finishing the perfect season, I was all for it. I wanted to see it because I wasn't alive in 52, so I didn't get to see the Dolphins go 16-0 and have a perfect season. I wasn't alive back in 1946 when the Browns were perfect season. So even though I'm not really a New England Patriots fan, I have a lot of respect for them. I wanted to see it happen. I don't know if Montreal won last night, the Montreal Canadiens, but I know they started off 9-0. The longest winning streak started off the season. I know they were down 3-0. You might be able to tell if they came back or not. There's something we don't get to see. There's a record that was held for a long time. Montreal got record. There's certain things you don't get to see. Now that I'm not really Jimmy Johnson fan, I still want to see them win number 7. I would like to see number 8. Because not everybody in the lifetime is going to see that happen. Just like Richard Petty, when I started watching racing, wasn't winning races anymore. I would have loved to have been a few years older to see Richard Petty win race 200 because not everybody's going to get to see that. You're on a radio show for that. So, it's not every time you get to see everything. And I have a lot of respect, and obviously the chemistry works there for the Team 48. And I would be surprised if we ever split that up before they retire. At the same time, it just blows the line how bent everybody feels that checking out cheap every single track. It's not that everybody pushes the envelope; they just have to get the spotlight. Since that race is finished, I've seen 2 petitions running around. One for Matt Kenseth, because everybody feels Matt Kenseth got screwed out of it, and then of course Junior they got their own petition trying to get Junior. Still Junior back into the chase as well. When you see those kind of things, you kind of just chuckle and you see fans kind of bend over backwards trying to make petitions and trying to get drivers into a chase.
I mean, I think it's great. It just shows how passionate NASCAR fans are, and that's basically what we need, and that's what sponsors need to know, is how loyal NASCAR fans are to the sport and how fans make up the sport of racing. None of us would be where we are without our fans. So I think it's great.
I agree. NASCAR fans are the most passionate fans I think there is out there. And then also see they're some of the most ridiculous. Listening to the comments, being part of so many different race groups, and it's just some of the things that are being said out there. And they got fan pages and it's set up, and they think they got the picture. Show this deal, you can give a head up to Joey Logano and everything else out there. But sometimes it's just humorous, and sometimes they just, especially as the older some of these comments get, and the arguments get, sometimes it's straight up ridiculous. But both it's entertaining to see. It's nice to see the passion, and it's great to see the passion for the fans, but also it's entertaining. Sometimes they just don't seem to know when enough is enough, and sometimes they just don't understand. It's one thing to say to somebody, but when you're typing stuff, sometimes it just comes off totally. And that feeling, you're just like, what is this person really trying to say? Because right now, you sound like you don't know anything about the sport right now.
Oh yeah, there's going to be lots of those. Even at lower level in dirt track racing, there's lots of that in dirt track racing. I mean, people like to talk. It doesn't matter if it's about racing or really anything. People like to talk, and it's easy when there's a computer in front of them. But I think if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. But I know that's not realistic. Freedom of speech, right? So, but I think, even if there's some negative stuff being said, it still sparks publicity for the sport, and that's kind of what runs our sport, right? So, like I said, fans are passionate, and that's not a bad thing, because without fans, we don't have sponsors, and without sponsors, we don't race.
Now, how about racing? You said you ran 35 races last year. How crazy of a schedule do you have to have 35 races in? I'm assuming you don't have the same length of the schedule as NASCAR and running from February all the way to November. I'm assuming being up in Canada, due to possible weather and stuff, your schedule is a little bit more condensed. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, definitely. I actually did all my racing in mostly North Dakota and Minnesota, though. But yeah, we had, I think, between 30 and 35 races with rainouts, give or take, too. But that was from, I think, May to September. So basically June, July, August. Well,
yeah.
3.5
Go
months.
to safety. I'm just trying to count my fingers as I'm saying. That's a lot of racing in about a 4-month period of time. How does one stay physically endured to do that?
Well, I mean, I definitely hit the gym because I know that obviously racing against all guys. At that time, too, I was the only female in our series. Guys are just naturally more physically strong and able than females are. So I definitely hit the gym and do everything I can there. And obviously racing every weekend keeps your body in shape and regulated to be able to do that every weekend. And now it's the off season. I've still been hitting the gym to prepare this race next weekend. I think it's a 50-lapper, 100-lapper, so something I've never done before. That's the most laps I've ever done is 5, so it'll definitely be a new challenge for me, but I'm really excited about it.
Have you been physically preparing yourself for the longer race?
Yeah, I do a lot more cardio. I think cardio is probably a little bit better because it's endurance. So I'll run, 4 or 5 miles rather than just doing sprints and stuff. I've always been really active. As a kid, I was in gymnastics and dance and cheerleading and volleyball and everything. So I'm not really too worried about the physical aspect. I think the mental aspect is just as important. So I've just been trying to keep calm, but I'm a little bit nervous, that's for sure.
I can only imagine. You said you're flying into North Carolina tomorrow, so that means you're leaving at a pretty decent time tomorrow, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a busy day today, but I think I leave pretty early tomorrow morning, and I'll have tomorrow kind of chill at the airport and work on some emails and things like that, and then it's go time on Friday.
Sounds like a fun weekend, a weekend that hopefully pays off you and gives you something to look at. And with you having a busy day tomorrow and having to get up early, I don't want to take too much longer. And so that you got this year that way. I know that you finish it prepared. So you make sure you take everything tomorrow, and you're not running behind. You were up late. With oversleeping. I definitely want to wish you just luck on this weekend, and hopefully something lands for you for the 2016 season. Definitely would like to get you back on sometime soon to see how things went, and or at least when something is official for 2016, we can talk about this weekend and what is going on. And also, hopefully, we stay in touch with other things that we're hopefully going to be put together. So looking forward to at least be talking to you one way or another. Is there anything else you want to throw out there before I let you go?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to all of the sponsors that have helped me ever since I was 10 years old all the way till now. And thanks, number one, to my fans. They're awesome. I don't have as big a fan following as, Kyle Larson or Dale Jr. or anything like that, but, I mean, the fans I do have, they're so amazing. Every time when, I'm feeling down, like maybe I can't do this or get the sponsorship, they bring me up, and they're so supportive. They're so awesome. And we couldn't do without fans, so I have to say thanks first and foremost to them, and thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been great.
I want to thank you very much. Like I said, the door is always open. Make sure you guys follow her on, you guys like her on Facebook, Amber Balkan Racing. Make sure you guys check her out. Check her out any which way you can. Make sure you guys support her. That way, the sponsor.
And that was Amber Balkan, our second best of the 2015. And like I was saying, before we replayed that was the reason why I chose her for the second best of as we're heading into New Year's Eve. Just another inspiring story of a driver trying to, overcome the odds and really be focused. And, between having the Eric Saunders interview and then having her interview, it just kind of, I don't know, I just looked at it as a way to, maybe a couple people will sit there and think about, maybe reprioritizing what their New Year's resolution is. And maybe it's not so much to be worldly possessions, but, to push themselves to better themselves or provide a better opportunity or whatever the case may be versus, the same old possession things or I'm going to lose weight things, but do something that's actually meaningful. And, those were just kind of two stories that we had the opportunity to learn and get to have on the show here at the 110 Nation over 2015. So those were the major reasons I went ahead and used those two interviews for the best of 2015. But definitely looking forward to the final best of 2015 that I chose. I think everybody's going to enjoy that. Lauren Rainier, spotter for Jamie Macor was until the end of this year. He went ahead and retired. Spotter for Christopher Bell, won Eldora. Family's been around the sport for a very long time. As a matter of fact, they used to own the number 28 Hardee's machine that Cale Yarbrough used to drive. Just a great guy, very knowledgeable, and we got the opportunity to have him on a couple times since we've been doing the show on the 110 Nation Sports Show, and then he was also on the Racing with Big Sweat once upon a time, too. So quite familiar with the show. So, he obviously made the list, but with all the knowledge he has, we definitely wanted to make sure that we added them to it. And so without any further delay, so we can get this wrapped up before the show ends, the final of our best of 2015. Drivers had a really, really good time. I tell you what, if I've not learned anything else when it comes to NASCAR, over the last year, I've learned how much of a class act organization that you work for is. We had a blast out there. They went all out. The things that they gave the people, the treatment we got out there. They had with the Cassidy folk out there singing. We just really had a great time, and I know that you got to enjoy being part of that organization and everything. But I want to make sure that I thank you for making a return to the show and ready to learn a little bit more tonight.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and Chip and all the staff do a really good job when it comes to hosting the fans and sponsors and partners and all that stuff. They do a really good job, so I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
All right, well, I'd like to jump in anything. How many years have you been a spotter, and what got you into being a spotter?
Well, I've been spotting in this current form like we do now for about 19 years. So I'm probably one of the most experienced guys up there. There's a few up there with that amount of experience. As far as what got me into it is, my family's been in racing for on and off for 60 years. My grandfather owned cars that raced on the beach in Daytona. I raced at Darlington in the early 50s. So I've been involved in racing my entire life. So I just felt like the spotting thing was something that would allow me to be a part of the event, and I felt like I'd be good at it, and I got into it, and, the driver said I was good at it, so, I'm still doing it.
What? Now, I spoke to my counselor a time or two, and I don't ever recall being a spotter as one of those things that, she was going to talk to me about possibly having a future and doing when I got older. So how does somebody kind of fall into that kind of occupation? Like, it just seems like it's just something that you kind of have specifically kind of in mind versus, you just signing up one day to, go to spotter school or something.
Well, first of all, you have to have the desire to want to do it. Second of all, you have to have the opportunity to learn how to do it, and that comes different ways. A lot of people have different backgrounds in racing, and then you obviously have to have a knowledge of it, and you have to have the trust of the driver. You got to be able to communicate well, but most guys start at lower levels and work their way up, and just get opportunities, and that's kind of how it works. There's no clear set path to becoming a spotter. It's just kind of whatever connections and whatever way that you have that allows you to get up there. That's kind of how it works. And I was very fortunate to have a lot of opportunities and connections in the sport with my background in the sport. So it allowed me to do some things and work with some different drivers, and felt like I've done a pretty fair job at it over the years, and I've been around a long time. So that's kind of how I got here. It was no specific way, just I had a desire to do it, and kind of got the opportunity to do it, and the drivers felt like I did a pretty good job, and here I am this many years later.
With the rule package changing, like we saw Kentucky, which makes Kentucky very competitive. I know that they changed things up for Indy, and you guys are actually, the drivers actually didn't see this package in race condition or race situation until the actual race. Is it hard for a spotter to adjust and be able to help the driver, kind of guide them, and make the decisions on where they should go, or help guide them anyway, and what lane to take or what line they should take or whatnot. When you're kind of new with the package yourself and not quite sure how the cars are going, the clothing race going to happen, how loose they may get being next to each other or getting too close to the driver in front of them, how much of an adjustment or how hard is it to adjust to these new rule packages when you got some of these races you don't even get to experience until actual race day?
Well, you're going to know kind of the characteristics of the package before you start, about what they're trying to achieve. Kentucky was that way. We had a practice day that we didn't really get, and then we got some extra practice on the day before the race, and they didn't have qualifying. So we kind of knew what that was going to be with the low downforce package, and I thought that was really good, and I think that's the direction that they should go. I feel the drivers feel that as well. I thought they made a good call in trying this high drag package at Indy. Indy's always been a race that's been hard to pass, and I think they had nothing to lose by trying it. I thought it was a really good call. I don't know that it achieved exactly what they were looking for. I'm not sure that package is going to be a package for the Cup cars long term. I don't think that's going to be the way that it goes. I mean, I think they're going to try it again at Michigan, and Michigan's completely different style of racetrack than Indy, and it may work fine there. I mean, it's really what it is equivalent to what a truck would do, and a truck puts on a pretty good race on a track like that. So it will be interesting to see if they run it again, if it does a little bit more than what they think. I'm not sure that it will, but I'm just by what I've seen, I'm kind of hoping they go towards the low downforce package and the softer tire, and I hope they go that direction. I think that's going to put on the best show. The numbers from Kentucky don't lie how much better it was. They had a stat where in the 2014 race, there was 1,440 some odd overall passes in the race, green flag passes, and in the 2015 race with the low downforce package, there were 2,600 passes. So it was clearly more competitive. So I think that's the direction that they'll go long term. At least I hope it is, and I think that puts it more into the drivers' hands, and it gets it back to the way Cup racing used to look, and I think it puts it back to where the best drivers and the best crew chiefs, and you match a softer tire to that low downforce package. I think that's going to be a really good play about everywhere we go. So we'll see what they decide. They have the rest of the year to kind of evaluate what they've done, and I think that's the way they'll go.
Now, I think we all agree that Kentucky needed to have a rule package, and Shorty and I we had the opportunity to look out there for media, and we both enjoyed. And in a general sense, the media center itself this was probably the most competitive race that we've seen in Kentucky. So I felt NASCAR definitely went in the right direction. And we had the similar discussion going into Indianapolis, whether or not, this is another track that needs another rule package change, and the rule package change that they made, whether or not it was the right one or not. And I felt maybe it was a little better than we normally seen, but not still quite what we want to see. What was the overall general census for the drivers? Did they like this rule package? Was it not a good combination? It seemed like we've seen a few drivers lose control and was losing air when they got next to each other. Then, of course, also the drafting, that affected it. It seems like you could get up on somebody, but you kind of stalled out kind of situation. What was the overall general census when it came to the drivers themselves?
You mean at Indy? You're talking about Indy or Kentucky?
At Indy.
At Indy, yeah. I think that it just didn't achieve what they wanted it to achieve. Basically, they were looking for the IndyCar style of racing where you had the big suck up and the draft, and the big slingshot move. But the way the cars are today, once you make the move out of line and you hit the wall of air, basically you stall out. And then what happens then is you have two cars running side by side. The guy that's behind the cars that are too wide in front, he kind of gets a little bit of a run and makes it go. But it just didn't quite achieve what I think they wanted it to achieve. But, that's okay. You've got to try it, and you've got to take a look at it, and you've got to look at it in race conditions. You can't simulate that in testing. So they had a look at it. Don't think it achieved exactly what they wanted it to. Wasn't terrible. I mean, it looked like an Indy race. I mean, that's the way the races at Indy look. They've looked that way for 20 years. So it's not like it was any worse than what it had been in the past. But I don't think it achieved exactly the results they were looking for. And maybe it's something that on some of the racetracks they can continue with that high downforce package or high drag package. Really is what it is. And it will work for them. I'm not sure what they'll go through the numbers and ask for a look at it and decide if it's a direction that they want to continue with. And I'm sure they'll evaluate after Michigan as well.
I know how big it is for the drivers, this short track at Indy. Is it just as big, or does it mean just as much as you guys to be out there at this track?
Absolutely. I mean, Indy is, it's one of the crown jewels of racing. That facility is really second to none the way it's laid out. It's just the problem is it doesn't equate to really good racing, and I think that's the part that frustrates everybody is it really races like a left-handed road course. Is basically how it races, and the IndyCar's put on a phenomenal race there with the package that they have now is great. And I think NASCAR is looking for that style of race there, but it's just hard to simulate it with this big car on that, narrow racetrack. And, as tight as it is in the corners, it's hard to create that IndyCar style of racing. So, anyway, it's a great facility. It's historic. I love going to Indy. Love the mystique of the place. It's fantastic.
I actually have a question for you. A little birdie told me that you might have possibly fought before Christopher Bell at Eldora. Is this little birdie correct?
That would be correct.
All right. Was it how did you like fighting for Chris?
Well, I really enjoyed it. I kind of go back with him a little ways, a few years. I contacted him about 3 years ago when he was coming up in the open wheel side of things. Somebody kind of tipped me off to him, and so I contacted him, and I work for a management company as well, and so we had some interest in him, and so to get to work with him was great because I knew him, and I actually spotted for him in the Kentucky truck race as well. So it was great. I mean, we felt like when that was put on his schedule that he had an opportunity to win that race as good as he is, period, but as good as he is on dirt. And I was fortunate 2 years ago to do the inaugural race with Kyle Larson. I spotted for Kyle that race, and we felt like we had a really good opportunity to win that race as well. And he ended up finishing second that year, the first year. So we felt like Chris could win it, and damn if he didn't pull it off.
Is there a big difference between spotting on dirt or versus asphalt?
Well, there isn't a way, because you're kind of looking for different things when you try to help the driver. You know, obviously, you know, you're telling him what's going on around him, you know, inside, outside, all that kind of stuff. But then you kind of want to tell him where the grip is on the racetrack. And Tony Stewart did a phenomenal job prepping the racetrack for that race, for the feature. He went in there and he kind of tilled up the bottom and watered it and rolled it in. So it had for the first 35 laps or so, you had a really good bottom groove until it kind of slicked off down there. And so, you know, we're trying to tell him, you know, where the trucks are running and where we want to restart, and in the early part of the race. Then the latter part of the race, the track kind of went back to where it was the last 2 years, where, you know, you kind of ride around the top, and then you had to, if you were going to make a pass, you had to kind of time a slide job, whether it be on a restart or, you know, if you could get close to them and kind of time a slide job. And so, you know, it's kind of letting them know all that. So as far as, is it different? It's different, but it's really not. You're just basically telling him where the cars behind him are running, and, you know, where the optimum line is. And then mostly what I did to him was just trying to coach him and keep him really calmed down. And the main thing is to take care of a truck, because you run so close to the wall that if you just step over that line, you can really eliminate yourself from the race. And I was really on him about, let's make sure we got a really good truck at the end of this race and give himself a chance to win it. And he did. He did a great job. He's a phenomenal young driver, extremely talented. I think you'll see him in a Cup car in a couple of 3 years for sure.
That's good. Is there anything unique to spotting at Eldora?
Well, Eldora is a probably the premier dirt racetrack in the country. I mean, there's a few others, Knoxville, Iowa, and a few other places that you could put up there with it. But to me, Eldora it's very special to me. I went there over 20 years ago, and the first place I met Tony Stewart, and then the fact that he owns it now is pretty special to me. And as far as, you know, it's more than just the fact that you're on dirt, and it's just a little bit different deal, but not really. I mean, you know, racing's racing. You're just, you know, the cars around you, and you're trying to, you know, outmaneuver everybody that's around you, and hopefully your car's a little bit quicker and your driver's a little bit better, and you can give them just a little bit of information that'll help them, and, you know, you win the race. And lucky enough, you know, Chris did that, and Shannon, the crew chief, and all the guys just did a phenomenal job. I mean, the whole group did a great job. So pretty proud of all those guys that put that program together at Kyle Busch Motorsports.
Now, I got a comment, and then I also got a question before she asked you what she's going to ask you next. But one, in the chat room, someone told me to ask you about 201 Speedway in Paintsville, Kentucky. And then also, I just, I don't know, I visualize it being a little bit, I don't know, you make it seem like it's so easy, the transition, but when you sit here and watch the guys go around on asphalt versus, I mean, it's pretty much almost like a drift on the dirt track. He made it seem like it's so simple, but to me it would seem like it would be so much more involved, I guess, because you're not only trying to help guide around the other trucks, but they're kind of just sliding sideways the whole time as they're doing it. Maybe I would think that it'd be a little bit more difficult because there's not so much draft and you know, simple lines. There's trucks going sideways almost around this whole track, and I don't know, it seems so easy.
Well, it's more difficult for the driver. It's just not that much more difficult for me, because you know what I mean. Just, you know, it's a lot different for them. So that question would be more, you know, would be a Chris Bell question or a, you know, Bobby Pierce question as far as driving it. As far as spotting it, you're just trying to predict where they go. What is hard is if they try to pull a big slider, and are they clear them or not? That would be the hardest part. And but tracks that we go, that they do the same thing on asphalt. You try to make a big move, and can he clear them on the exit? He can or he can't. One or the other. You're clear, you're not clear. One of the two.
All right. Do the other spotters get along, or is it a cutthroat competition on the track?
I'm sorry. Say that again. Now the spotters what?
Oh, the spotters get along, or is it as cutthroat and competitive as the
drivers are? No, the spotters actually, it's a really tight knit fraternity. If you want to know the truth, the spotters get along really, really well. It's we spend every weekend together up there, and it would be really hard to not get along and spend 38 weekends together. I see those guys more than I see some of my family. Well, I do see them more than I see some of my family. So it's a really tight knit fraternity. We actually hang out together, and now there's times when you get something happens, you get heated, you have some heated discussions, but we're just a tool for the driver to help relay information, and really the main thing we're up there for is the safety of the driver, and that's the main function of a NASCAR spotter is safety. And and I never get away from that. That's my utmost importance is to keep my driver as safe as I can and let him know anything that might be an issue. So as far as the guys that we're around, we get along really well, really, really well.
See, I couldn't be a spotter because, prime example, if I was on Trevor Bain's team or Eric Amarillo's team, after we watched what they did during the caution, I would have a personal grudge because that's my driver, and I would take it. I guess I would take it too personal, even though I'm not in the car and I'm off at the track watching it and kind of being the safety of the driver. I am very competitive. I don't like to lose at anything. I don't care what it is. It could be a grass in the water going down the road race, and I do not want to lose it. So I think I would take it too personal, and I don't think I get the hit spot. I couldn't be part of that. I don't like losing a Mario Kart. So I think I would take it very personal if I was up there. I don't know. I guess that would be me. Didn't realize Kenny Mack had been in NASCAR for so long. Actually, didn't. It don't seem like he's been around for 13 years or so. But specifically, what have you seen being a spotter of Jamie McMurray? What has changed? Because we've seen a difference in Jamie McMurray in results. The last 3 years, he's completed on average more laps than almost any other season. I think 2005 was the only year he actually completed more laps percentage-wise, where we're seeing him finish more towards the front of the field. He's looking like he's going to possibly make the chase this year. What has changed over at Chip Ganassi Racing that has made Jamie McMurray look like he's more comfortable in the car and more competitive?
Well, I think everybody's done a good job from Chip and Felix all the way down through Max Jones and all the engineering staff, the crew chiefs. They're just building good race cars over the last couple of years. I think they just do a really, really good job. It's a really good organization, and they build really, really good race cars. And I think as far as Jamie goes, Jamie's a really good race car driver. He's very talented. He's very versatile. He can race anywhere, short tracks, road courses. He's a great speedway driver. There's only probably a couple of tracks that I would say that he even says he doesn't like that much. But he's still competitive. He's competitive everywhere. And as you get older, you've got much more experience. He's in great physical condition. He just does about everything right, and gets along with everybody well. Treats all his crew well. Phenomenal with the sponsors. I mean, he's just a really well-rounded, talented, quality individual. That's really what I would say about Jamie. The guy that you see on TV, is the guy that he is in person. He's just a really, really good guy, and just does a great job all around, from behind the wheel to taking care of sponsors, working with his team, working with the owners. Just does a great job. So I think that's the key to his success is, this is his third crew chief in 3 years. It's hard to do that and still maintain the level of competitiveness that he has done. Just done a good job. A really, really good leader. Just a very talented guy and a good guy.
Now, I've always liked Jamie McMurray, and I've always felt that Jamie McMurray just happened to be a product of kind of the wrong driver at the wrong place. So a lot of the wrecks were never his fault. He just seemed to just kind of be at the wrong place on the track and get wrapped up in everybody else's mess. This year, in the last couple of years, it seems that running up front more consistently has helped avoid a lot of those things. But overall, I've been very impressed with what Jamie Max has done. I had all the confidence after we've seen, Chip Ganassi Racing kind of go in the right direction last year with both drivers. And Carl Larson, it seems he's kind of out of the slump this year, not as good as possibly as good as last year. But Jamie seems like he's continued on what he was building on last year and going strong this year. Now, how confident is the team that if they do not get a victory in the next few races, that consistency will get him in, such as what we saw with Ryan Newman last year?
Well, I mean, we feel pretty good about it. We're P1 in points when it comes to making the chase. That doesn't really guarantee you anything, but I wouldn't trade positions with anybody right now that hasn't won with where he is. So I feel pretty good about it. I feel like we have a high probability if we don't have a win of making the chase with where we are now. Again, you could have a couple of bad races in a row, and that could change. So, but I feel good with what's coming up. We've got Pocono this weekend, and then we've got road racing, and then we've got Michigan, Bristol. We've got good racetracks coming up that we run really well at, and again, it goes back to Jamie where he is as a driver. He's very heady, smart, experienced, knows what to expect. All around, just a really good driver at a lot of racetracks. So, I feel really good about what we got going on. So, just hoping we can get just if we do make the chase, that we can be just a little bit more competitive. And I know Matt and all the guys on the one team, the engineering staff, everybody, they've got plans to help improve that. So, I feel really good about where we are as a race team. We've got a great bunch of people, and I feel really good about where the team's headed.
Now, I got one quick non-Team One question real quick, and I'm going to let you go. And this is from a kind of a spotter and a fan point of view. And I'm going to ask this. You don't got to answer the question, but I think everybody right now is kind of amazed by it. So I just want to get your opinion from being able to see it from overhead and see this as we've got to see it over the last 5 weeks. How impressed team and what he has done this is return as a spotter and as a fan of the sport are you?
Well, I think Kyle Busch has always had this in him, whether it be now or 5 years ago. I think what I'm probably more impressed with him as an individual is to go through what he's went through, and he's obviously just had a child. As everybody that's had children know, that's a complete game changer, which has probably helped him mature a little bit. As far as his talent goes, he's always been this talented. He's always been capable of doing this. I think the rules with the restricted engines that we have now is really played it into his hands. It's really what we have is kind of a hot rod Xfinity car now with the tapered spacer that we run up these engines now. So it's a lower horsepower deal, and you look at who's won more Xfinity races over the last 10 years than Kyle Busch. Nobody. And it really plays into his hands, this rule packages that we have now, and primarily with the engine, I say that. The lower horsepower definitely plays into his hands. So, I'm not surprised at all. This is one of the, Kyle Busch is one of the most talented drivers ever in NASCAR. Not just right now, ever. So, he's completely capable of going on a run like this. Not surprised, and there's a very high probability that he's going to contend for this points championship. When it comes down to it, he's a lock to make the chase now. So he's a bona fide contender for the whole thing when it's all said and done at Homestead.
That's cool. It's cool that being part of a team, you can be openly honest and talk about other teams. And it's cool that the NASCAR family is that way. So I want to thank you for coming on. I know it's been a while, but I love having you on the show. You kind of get a look at the sport at a whole different kind of point of view, and it's really cool to to be able to see that. And if we had the opportunity, we would have all different aspects of the sport on the show, because you don't really appreciate what it all goes into what we see on a Sunday until you have the opportunity to talk to everybody and how their roles, kind of impact what we get to see, the product that is on the track on a Sunday afternoon. So, I definitely want to thank you once again. Good luck. Definitely pull for Jamie. I like Jamie. Hopefully, you guys make the chase this year and you guys are able to go deep, if not win it all. But we'll definitely be looking out for you guys and definitely pulling for you. And hopefully we get you back on the show sometime soon. And you enjoy the rest of your evening. And good luck.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. I love having Lauren on the show. Like I said, he's been on the show before. It's just cool. You get to enjoy it.
There we go. Trying to end it up as I'm trying to get everything wrapped up here. Second interview took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. I thought we would have a little bit of time after, and I couldn't get anything in before was everything locking up. So I didn't do too much talking. We had gone way past our time. But those were the three interviews I decided to choose for the best of 2015. A couple inspiring stories, and then just opportunity to sit down with someone that's been on the show multiple times and have been around the sport for many, many, many years. So glad to been able to have all three of those people on our show in 2015. And like I said, 2 more days. 2 more days of doing the best of 2015. 2 more days to be able to walk down memory lane and get ready for 2016. Don't forget, you can check out the 110 Nation Sports Show Monday through Friday. Show kicks off at 9 p.m. We got Racing with the Big Sweat Thursday night. Show kicks off at 9 p.m. as well. As a matter of fact, we got Midwest Horsepower Hour. That show kicks off at 9 p.m. On Sunday nights, all time Eastern Standard Times, and of course, getting back into the swing of things Monday morning. We got the 110 Nation Morning Show kicks off at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You guys that are unable to check us out tomorrow night, make sure you guys have a safe New Year's. We will definitely be having something playing tomorrow night, so make sure that you guys tune in. And then Friday we wrap up the best of 2015, wrap up 2015 officially, even though it would already be the first. And Monday we'll be back at its full swing with everything going on here at the 110 Nation. So you guys have a good New Year's. For those that won't be tuning in tomorrow, y'all be safe, and we'll be talking to you guys real soon.
Thanks for listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show with Mr. CJ Sports. You are a part of the 110 Nation, so be sure to visit the110nation.com for everything related to the show. You can follow CJ on Twitter at 110 Nation and on Facebook at 110 Nation Sports. Until next time.
Any Jane Doe can tell you that Geico could help you save. But since money talks, we just ask the savings instead.
Greetings and sun salutations. I'm Jane's Money. And I never knew my self-worth until Jane switched her car insurance at Geico.com. Those 15 minutes built me up to real savings. Geico's been helping customers save money like me for over 75 years. So take that to the bank. And namaste.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.